Welcome to our penultimate reading from the 9 Lessons and Carols journey through the Christmas story. This time we look at a Gentile, a non-Jewish perspective of the baby's birth. We focus on the Magi and also a quick peek at Herod. So let's read from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 2. It describes where the Magi led by the star to Jesus. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report back to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Well, who were these strange men from afar? Well, they were a combination of things, really. They were scholar, they were the scientists of their day, they were astrologers, astronomers, and in essence they were the same at the time. They were philosophers, interpreters of dreams. Magi was a term used by the Babylonians, Medes and Persians, among others, and it had a broad usage. They saw something in the sky, possibly the conjunction, the coming together of two planets, Jupiter and Saturn shining brightly in the sky. In the understanding of the time, Jupiter was the royal planet, and Saturn the planet representing the Jews. It doesn't take much to work out that that would bring a new king born for the Jews. Note that if this conjunction was what the Magi followed, it hadn't happened when they started out. They were two separate and dimmer stars. The Magi calculated their journey to arrive in Israel at the time of the lining up of the planets, showing them the new king. These were educated, intelligent people. So was it this they saw? We don't know for sure. But if you would like to see this, it's happening again this year, on the night of the 21st of December 2020 in the early evening. But what we do know for sure is that they saw something, and something that excited them enough to contact each other and compare notes, just like today's scientists. And then they packed up and went to do some field research. They were certainly rich enough to drop everything and go, so they followed the star. Notice that they went, but that they were not Jews. They had no faith or even knowledge of the God they were responding to. They just interpreted the signs as being indicative of a king great enough to even affect their nations, so went to do homage. So then, who was this Herod that the Magi dropped in to see? King Herod the Great was an appointee king from Rome, and the Romans called him King of the Jews, after the nation he ruled. This did not make him popular with the Jews as their king, for they worshipped a king who reigned from heaven, and they resented Rome's representative in their midst. Even worse, he wasn't a real Jew. He was an Edomite, a descendant of Esau. The Edomites and Israel had a checkered history. When Moses sent a request to his brother, Edom, to pass through their land through the wilderness wanderings, the Edomites refused and threatened to attack the Israelites if they tried. This snub was never forgotten. And although the Israelites were told not to hate the Edomites because they were family in Deuteronomy 23, both King Saul and David fought against them at various times. And then, in 424 BC, Nebuchadnezzar invaded and destroyed Jerusalem, aided by their allies, the Edomites, who then pillaged and set fire to the temple. You can see why the Jews didn't appreciate an Edomite king. Now, Herod worshipped as a Jew, but that was likely to be more political than spiritual. After all, he did not know of the coming Messiah. He was not aware of the prophecies and had to call upon all manner of priests and teachers to advise him when the Magi came and asked their questions. Herod then sent the Magi on their way to find this new king and inform him so that he may worship him also. Now we know the story. The Magi found the child. But Matthew is not offering us a cosy story culminating in the comfortable tableau of parents, animals, shepherds and magi all gathered around the child in a manger. No, that is something that we have created. Matthew's account doesn't mention a stable at all. He says that the Magi came to a house, saw Mary and Jesus there. Matthew's account is not cosy. It's actually political dynamite. He's saying that the real King of the Jews is newly born and that Herod the Great, King of the Jews, is an impostor. The house of Herod did not like people making such claims, as we can see with Herod Antipas and the part he plays some 30 years later. Worse still, for Herod and his descendants, the recognition of Jesus by the Magi and their worship of him suggests that Jesus won't just be King of the Jews, but King over the whole world. The gifts they brought, whilst valuable, befitting a king, also had a depth of meaning that they may not have been aware of. Firstly, gold. Gold in those times was only allowed to be possessed by the king. In some lands, all the gold in the land was owned by the king. It was a symbol of royalty and kingship. Frankincense, an aromatic balm, offered as a sacrifice to deities, used to make incense, a symbol of divinity and priestly service. Myrrh, another aromatic, used for the washing and preparation of bodies for burial. Encapsulated in the Magi's gifts is Jesus' life, ministry and sacrifice, kingship, divinity, death. This Gentile view of Jesus is strange coming from Matthew, as the rest of his gospel is firmly focused upon the Jewish perspective of Jesus as the promised Messiah. Another thought, and just to close on, the only people to refer to Jesus as King of the Jews were Gentiles. The Magi at the very beginning of Jesus' life, and then Pontius Pilate, and then Pilate's soldiers at the end of his life. His own people, the nation he was sent to, never recognised him. Next time, we will consider the last reading in the series from the Gospel of John, the disciple that Jesus loved. And if we get a moment, I'll even let you into the meaning of these things that I'm wearing today. Until then, may God be with you.